The transmission lasted only 7 seconds. No warning, no explanation, just a calm voice breaking through heavy static. "This is Captain Ethan Cole. Mission went wrong. We are surrounded." Then silence. For the United States Army, that silence became a question that refused to die. Captain Ethan Cole had survived things most soldiers never spoke about. At 34, he carried no medals on his chest when off duty. He believed real victories were not meant to be displayed. They were meant to be remembered quietly. Ethan grew up in a small town where winters were harsh and people learned early how to endure. His father was a mechanic, his mother a nurse. No military background, no family pressure. Only one reason drove Ethan toward the Army. He wanted to stand where fear ended. By the time he joined the Special Operations Unit, Ethan had already proven one thing. When chaos arrived, he did not panic. He observed. He adapted. He acted. That was why Command chose him for Operation Black Hollow. On paper, the mission barely existed. No public record. No digital footprint. Even within the Pentagon, only a few names had clearance. The briefing room was cold and silent. A large screen showed a frozen landscape somewhere far from civilization. Colonel Harris stood at the front with a face that revealed nothing. "This is a reconnaissance mission," he said. "Remote installation. Possible hostile movement. Your task is observation only." Ethan noticed what was not said. No mention of who built the installation. No timeline. No satellite feed. He raised his hand. "Sir, why was this base abandoned?" The colonel paused. "That question will be answered once you're on site." That was the first red flag. Ethan selected his team carefully. Many trusted not because they were fearless, but because they were disciplined. Sergeant Daniel Miller, a veteran with sharp instincts and dry humor. Private Lucas Reed, young but fast learner, calm under pressure. Corporal James Harlow, communications expert who could fix a radio with broken parts. For men, one objective. They deployed at night. The aircraft flew low to avoid detection. No one spoke during the flight. Ethan watched the red light above the door. He had seen that light before many times. But tonight it felt different. He could not explain why. When the aircraft door opened, the cold hit them like a wall. The wind cut through layers of gear. The ground below was endless white. They landed miles away from the target location. Standard procedure. Silent approach. As they moved, Ethan noticed something strange. The snow was disturbed. Footprints. Recent. This base is not abandoned, he thought. Hours later, the structure appeared through the storm. A low concrete facility half buried under ice. No lights. No signals. Harlow tried the radio. Static. Miller checked the perimeter. No movement. Ethan ordered a slow entry. Inside the base, the air was stale. Equipment lay scattered. Walls showed signs of damage. Bullet holes. Burn marks. But there were no bodies. Reed whispered, "Sir, where is everyone?" Before Ethan could answer, the lights flickered briefly. Then darkness returned. That was when the sound came. A distant metallic scrape. Slow. Intentional. Ethan raised his hand. Freeze. The sound came again, closer now. Then everything exploded. Gunfire erupted from the shadows. Muzzle flashes lit the corridor. The base was alive. Miller was hit first. A bullet tore through his leg. He fell hard but stayed conscious. Ethan dragged him behind cover. "Return fire," he shouted. They fought blindly. Enemies moved like ghosts, never staying visible long enough. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the shooting stopped. Silence returned. But this silence was worse. Ethan knew enemy doctrine. This was not retreat. This was observation. They were being studied. Harlow attempted to re-establish comms. Nothing worked. "We are cut off," Miller said, breathing heavily. Ethan nodded. He knew. That was when he saw the symbol painted on the far wall. A mark not used by any known group. Old. Almost erased. Something about it made his stomach tighten. "This mission is not reconnaissance," Ethan said quietly. "We walked into something buried for a reason." Outside, the storm intensified. Visibility dropped to 0. Ethan made a decision. They would move deeper into the base. Find power. Find answers. As they descended underground, the temperature rose slightly. Old generators. Dormitories. Medical rooms. Someone had lived here for a long time. Reed stopped suddenly. Sir! On the wall were words scratched into the metal. Do not answer the signal. Before anyone could speak, the base shook. An explosion rocked the upper level. The enemy was sealing them in. Ethan looked at his men. Fear was there, but so was trust. Whatever this place was, whatever Black Hollow truly meant, they were already inside it. And the worst part, the mission had only just begun. The underground corridor felt alive, not with sound, but with pressure. Captain Ethan Cole moved first. Every step measured, every breath controlled. Behind him, Sergeant Miller limped forward, teeth clenched, refusing help. Private Reed followed, eyes wide, absorbing every shadow. Corporal Harlow kept touching his radio, even though it was dead. The deeper they went, the clearer it became. This base was not abandoned. It was sealed. Doors were welded shut. Equipment stripped. Medical rooms showed signs of emergency surgery. Ethan stopped near a wall panel. Scratches covered the surface. Names. Dates. Messages. One line stood out. We stayed too long. Reed swallowed hard. Sir, what does that mean? Ethan did not answer. He already knew. A low hum echoed through the corridor. Barely audible. Then the floor vibrated. Power. The base was waking up. Lights flickered on one by one. Red emergency lights, casting long shadows. That was when the voice came through the hallway speakers. Distorted. Slow. Almost calm. You should not be here. Reed froze. Miller raised his rifle. Harlow whispered. Sir, the system is active. Ethan stepped forward. Identify yourself, he said. Silence. Then the voice returned. This facility is no longer under your control. Before Ethan could react, metal shutters slammed down, sealing exits. They were trapped. Gunfire erupted again, but this time from automated turrets hidden in the ceiling. Ethan pushed his team into cover. Return fire useless against steel. Miller screamed as shrapnel cut his shoulder. Blood soaked his sleeve. Ethan dragged him behind a concrete pillar. Hold on, Dan, he said. Stay with me. The turrets stopped suddenly. Silence again. The voice returned. You adapt quickly, Captain Ethan Cole. Ethan felt a chill. They knew his name. Who are you? Ethan demanded. The voice paused. We are the result of what happens when missions are buried instead of ended. Alarms blared. The floor beneath them opened. Reed fell screaming, grabbing Ethan, who barely held on. Harlow pulled them back, muscles straining. Below them, darkness stretched endless. That was when Ethan understood. This was not a battlefield. This was an experiment. The enemy was not attacking. They were observing. Testing fear. Testing loyalty. Testing survival. Ethan made a choice. We move forward, he said. No hesitation. They entered the central chamber. A massive room filled with old servers, monitors, and data terminals. Screens flickered to life, showing live footage of them from every angle. Miller laughed weakly. They never planned to let anyone leave. Ethan walked to the center. If you want me, he said. Stop hiding. The lights shut off. Footsteps echoed. Not machines. Men. Armed figures emerged from the darkness, wearing no insignia. Faces covered. Movements precise. The leader stepped forward. You were sent here to disappear, Captain Cole. Like the others. Ethan raised his rifle. Then take your shot. Gunfire erupted. Reed went down, hit in the chest. Harlow screamed, pulling him back. Ethan fired relentlessly. Moving. Covering. Protecting. Miller crawled to Reed, applying pressure. Stay awake, kid. Stay awake. Reed looked at Ethan. Sir, I can't feel my legs. Ethan knelt beside him. You listen to me. You are getting out of here. Explosions rocked the chamber. Smoke filled the air. Harlow shouted. Emergency exit opening east side. Ethan made the hardest decision of his life. He turned to Miller. Get them out. Miller shook his head. Not without you. Ethan looked at his men. Eyes filled with trust. That trust burned deeper than fear. I will hold them, he said. That is an order. Harlow dragged Reed toward the exit. Miller hesitated, then followed, tears mixing with blood. Ethan stood alone. Enemy fire intensified. He fought like a machine. Every movement purpose. As ammo ran low, he activated the old transmitter. This is Captain Ethan Cole. Mission went wrong. We are surrounded. He paused, then added, remember us. The signal went out. Ethan stepped into the smoke, weapon empty. Knife drawn. The last thing the enemy saw was a man who refused to disappear quietly. Cold air burned their lungs as Sergeant Miller dragged Private Reed through the tunnel. Corporal Harlow followed behind, firing blind shots into the darkness. The tunnel shook as explosions echoed behind them. Reed was losing blood fast, his face pale, eyes unfocused. "Stay with me," Miller repeated again and again. "Do not sleep." Reed tried to smile. Did the captain make it? Miller did not answer. He could not. The tunnel collapsed behind them, sealing the path forever. Ethan Cole was gone. Hours later, they emerged miles away into the storm. Exhausted, broken, alive. A rescue unit found them at dawn after detecting the weak transmission. Helicopter blades cut through the fog like a miracle. Inside the med evac, Reed slipped into surgery. Harlow sat in silence, staring at his hands still shaking. Miller stared out the window, watching the frozen land disappear below. Back at headquarters, questions began immediately. Who attacked them? What was Black Hollow? Why was the mission erased? The official answer was simple. Unknown hostile forces. Mission failure. Captain Ethan Cole missing in action. Unofficially, nothing was simple. Miller was called into a private room days later. A man in a dark suit spoke calmly. "Captain Cole never existed on this mission. You understand?" Miller clenched his jaw. "With respect, sir, he saved our lives." The man leaned forward. "And that is exactly why this ends here." Files were sealed. Records vanished. Black Hollow was wiped from maps. Reed survived, but he never walked the same again. Harlow left the Army months later, unable to sleep without lights on. And Miller stayed. Every year on the same night, he listened to static on an old radio. Waiting. 5 years later, a signal appeared. Brief. Faint. Almost impossible. 3 seconds of sound recorded by a listening station. Heavy static. A calm voice. "Hold the line." Miller froze when he heard it. He knew that voice. Investigations began quietly. Satellites repositioned. Teams assembled. The location matched Black Hollow. This time they found ruins. Ice buried everything. No enemy. No base. But deep underground, behind collapsed steel, they found a chamber. Inside was a wall. Scratched into the metal were words. "We did not disappear. We stood." No body was ever found. No proof. No answers. But among soldiers, the story spread quietly. About a captain who refused to be erased. About a man who held the line alone. Captain Ethan Cole. Today, recruits still hear his name in whispers. Not in training manuals. Not in speeches. But in moments when fear arrives. Because some missions fail. Some soldiers vanish. But legends do not. They stay.